Camarade Président Vladimir
Comrade
Poutine,
President Vladimir Putin,
camarade Président chef d'État africain,
African heads of state,
camarade chef de
Comrade
délégation,
head of delegation,
bonjour.
good morning.
C'est un
It is an
honneur
honor
pour
for
moi
me
ce
this
matin
morning
de
to
prendre
take
la
the
parole
floor
ici.
here and to pass on to you the fraternal greetings of the people of the land of men of integrity.
C'est aussi le lieu pour moi, avant tout propos,
It is from the Almighty that we have been able to gather here this morning in good health to talk about the future and the well-being of our people. I am going to apologize to the elders whom I may offend in my future remarks. Because of Africanity, because of the rights of one of them, I have to apologize. Comrade, I have a few questions from my generation. Not a single question that is being asked. We don't have an answer, and it turns out that here we can wash our linseed because we feel like a family. It feels like a family in the sense that Russia is also a family for Africa. It is a family because we have the same history. Russia made enormous sacrifices to liberate the world from Nazism during the Second World War. The people of Africa, our grandfathers, were also forcibly deported to help Europe get rid of Nazism. We share the same history in the sense that we are the forgotten peoples of the world, whether in the history books, in documentaries, or in film, insofar as we sweep away the preponderant role played by Russia and Africa in this fight against Nazism. We are here together because we are here to talk about the future of our peoples and what is to come. Of the future of tomorrow, of the free world to which we aspire, of a world without interference in our internal affairs. We have the same prospects, and I hope that this summit will be an opportunity to forge very good relations and to create a better future for our peoples. The questions that my generations are asking themselves about the next generation, if I can sum it up, is that they do not understand how Africa, with so much wealth on our soil, with its generous nature, water and abundant sunshine, Africa is today the poorest continent. Africa is a starving continent, and how is it that our heads of state are traveling through the world of Amand? These are questions that we are asking ourselves and that we have not yet had answers. We have the opportunity to forge new relationships, and I hope that these relations can be the best, to give a better future to our peoples. My generation also instructs me to say that because of poverty, they are forced to cross the ocean in order to try to reach Europe. They die in the ocean. But that soon they will not have crossed it, because they will come in front of our palaces to look for their daily sustenance. As far as Burkina Faso is concerned, for more than 8 years, we have been confronted with the most barbaric and violent form of neo-colonialism and imperialism. Slavery still has so much to impose on us. Our front-runners have taught us one thing: slavery that is not capable of accepting its own revolt does not deserve to be relied upon by its fate. We don't worry about our fate. We are not asking for someone to rely on our fate. The people of Burkina Faso have decided to fight against hypothyroidism, capable of reviving its development. In this struggle, valiant peoples, wines, and a population have pledged to take up arms in the face of terrorists. The ones we actually call the VDPs, volunteers. We are surprised to see the imperialists calling these VDPs militias and of all kinds. It is one of those wines, because in Europe, when people take up arms to defend their patriots, they are called patriots. Our grandfathers were deported to save Europe. It was not with their consent, against their grey. Well, on the way back, we remember that in Traore, when they tried to bandage their elemental sheet, they were massacred, so it doesn't matter. When we people decide to defend ourselves, we are called militias, but that's not the problem. What is the problem is to see African heads of state who bring nothing to these peoples who are fighting, but who sing the same thing as the imperialists. To our militia dealers, to our traders, therefore, to men who do not respect human rights, hence the human right. We are effusive against this and these shameful people. We, the African heads of state, must stop behaving like puppets who dance every time the imperialists pull the strings. Yesterday, President Vladimir Putin announced that the grain would be sent to Africa. And we are very happy, and we thank each other for that. But it is also a message to our African heads of state, because at the next forum, we must not come here without having ensured that our peoples will be able to achieve food self-sufficiency for those who do not know war. We need to learn from those who have already been able to achieve this in Africa, build good relations here and build better relations with the Russian Federation so that we can meet the needs of our people. I may not be slow. Time is running out and very short. We are obliged to stop and love.
They are labeling us as coup plotters, but we are not French, and we don't understand what they are referring to. The local values, which surely do not even understand the deep meaning of the word, also calls us coup plotters. Very well. We have appropriated it over the years. As far as Burkina Faso is concerned, you must have noticed that all bodies have been dismantled. No more training, nothing for the army. They have imposed in all our headquarters, all our schools, and all our strategic structures what they have called military advisors. When we revolted on September 30th, 2022, the first thing was to find out who these military advisors were and where they were. So we identified that the problem is deep. And the first thing was to ask them to leave our army. They left. And what I was telling you not long ago, you can't hope to find your lost object by calling on the one who stole it from you to come help you look for it. When we already have single-party advisors, we felt demonstrations. We were made to understand that we could not get by without them. And each time, as I was saying, this resulted in large-scale attacks on the ground. We got the message when, at the dawn of the year 2023, we decided to say no to foreign forces present here. We asked them to leave because we want to fight in our own terms. They probably didn't appreciate it. But why is he coming to our lands? We prefer to fight ourselves. We ask them to go back to their homes. Unfortunately, I say to you here today, as I like to say, the colonization has returned. There are still salon slaves who haven't understood. In their time, military officers wrote to us and approached us to tell us that it was a very bad decision and that we wouldn't last 2 months. Files were written. We were passed these files to do a strategic analysis of their thinking. We said, either we are sovereign or we remain slaves forever and far away. When the last soldiers left Burkina Faso, we understood what was it about. The impacts immediately followed. But what she had forgotten, it's that the people of Burkina Faso had understood our message and had committed themselves to the same path as the world. We quickly and suddenly reorganized ourselves. We noticed that all dormant terrorist cells woke up in Burkina Faso. We reorganized the army as quickly as possible, at an unprecedented speed. We created several units, and even if several others are to come, we equipped them. And today, this equipping continues, because in the coming days, in the coming months, what you will see coming to Burkina Faso must make our army a power to be feared. We have not skimped on the means. We understood that the fight that is engaged against imperialism, it's hard, very hard, but only the hard will pass. And the Burkinabé are tough, and we are going here. We have warned for more than a year the local values, the Salon slaves, so that they do not betray their homeland for the benefit of imperialism. Some have understood, have lined up. Others have not understood, maybe thinking they are smarter. But today, we have no feelings about this issue that poses. Whoever is going to betray his homeland for the benefit of imperialism, he will be treated as such. Let's go back to our famous ECOWAS. Since we decided to leave ECOWAS, armchair slaves have been activated everywhere. They want to scare the people. They want to scare everyone. Thank God. In the recent past, there were only a handful of people who had the right to speak on TV platforms. That's what they were telling themselves. So who was ready for the gospel? Today, with the new technologies, which of course have advantages and disadvantages, everyone has the right to speak. And I think, my friends, you are the first to know this. Each one, everyone can have their analysis of a situation. We can certainly be wrong. But when you come to us to understand, we are open to explain the steps. Here, we will explain to you why we left this ECOWAS and where we are going next. Remember that it was created in 1975. And it was created by a majority of African coup leaders, as they like to say. They were soldiers who took power and who took their responsibilities to create ECOWAS so that there would be a real economic boom for the people within this space. Later, the so-called Democrats invited themselves to the head of our states. They completely emptied the community of its foundation. When, on July 26th, Niger decided to take its destiny into its own hands, we were surprised to see ECOWAS appear from I don't know where, with a standby force. Where was this force when thousands and thousands of Nigerians were killed by terrorists? Where was this force when thousands of Malians and Burkinabés were dying under the bullets of terrorists? They said that by force they were going to dislodge the valiant sons of Niger, who took the destiny of the country into their own hands. Do you believe that there are women in Niger? There are fighters there. The Nigerian army is warlike. They have been fighting for years. It is not a parade army or a peacekeeping army. And the armies of the AES have decided to unite. We are waiting for this standby force. This so-called Democrat must understand. When thousands of Nigerians died on their hospital bed due to lack of electricity or lack of medication in this crisis, they are responsible for these sanctions. They are responsible for these deaths. The same thing is happening in Mali. With Burkina, we have indirect sanctions because people need to understand. When they take their instructions from the other side, they come back and do everything to apply it here. Some have decided not to provide electricity to our countries. It is not free, and we pay for it, and this helps their economy. They tried to make Mali suffer, and of course by ignoring all the texts, and no longer providing electricity to Mali, hoping that the population would revolt. It doesn't work. When this lasted, some were forced to make their own people pay by increasing the cost of electricity. It will increase again. This teaches us several lessons. Several lessons in the sense that independence, which we advocate, the sovereignty that we take, we must do everything to make it be. They gave us some very good lessons, and we understood very well. Some have closed their doors, which, by the way, goes against all international texts because you cannot close the doors to a landlocked country. They did it. They violated the texts. The international community has not said a word. Nobody talked about ECOWAS. But in the ports, we do not transit our goods for free. We pay. And the countries that are doing that are reaping the broken pots today. And I think it's a lesson for them too, that they should not always apply the instructions of their masters. They need to understand this forever. ECOWAS has never issued a statement to congratulate a victory of our armies. Hardly. It even condemns with the tip of its lips, and very rarely when there are massacres. Where is this ECOWAS of the people? In short, we cannot list all the harm that has been done to our people. But we have consciously decided to withdraw and focus. Focus on our common organization, that is the AES. Remember, there is no fear, because in perspective and by getting to work, we have noticed one thing recently. Some have decided to ban the export of certain food products to Burkina Faso. Very well. They gave a duration. We will ensure that, at the end of this period, we will ban the entry of these products into our territory. Thomas Sankara said that the slave who is not capable of assuming his revolt does not deserve to be pitied for his fate. This slave will be the only one responsible for his despair. Do not get illusions from your master about condescension, and suspect the ones who claims to emancipate you. Only struggle liberates. And I'm going to tell you that if, to free himself, a slave has illusions about the providence of a belief that his master imposed on him to keep him in darkness, he is fooling himself. He will remain forever blind in the darkness and will never see the day. This is a message to all of Africa, and Burkina Faso stands in solidarity and supports all the peoples of Africa who are suffering martyrdom. But we also want to say that it's time for Africans to stop pitying their fate, to stop brooding and lamenting. We must fight. It won't come from heaven by itself. We must fight first, and God will help you. And Burkina Faso is ready to help all peoples. Tell all the peoples who are fighting. It's time they tell the truth to their leaders. In Burkina Faso, when it came to our contribution to equip our army, the deputies have no more salary. Today, they only have session allowances. The minister's salary has been reduced to the maximum, and the people contribute. You cannot fight and want the leaders to be an insulting luxury. The peoples must rise up and demand this from their leaders. And to conclude, I therefore call on all the peoples of the AES to remain united and in solidarity. All suffering has an end. The struggle we have embarked on is hard, but we must keep our heads on our shoulders because the fatal weapon of imperialism remains manipulation through communication. Know how to recognize local values. Know how to recognize salon slaves. Know how to recognize everything about the sneaky force to come and sell you false information. For yourself, stay calm and not divide yourself. Because imperialism has 1,000 tricks in his bag. You must be vigilant. Vigilant and very vigilant.